punish Marjorie Taylor Greene for her dangerous conspiracy theories. So Democrats are taking action on their own. They're planning a House vote tomorrow on whether to strip Greene of her committee assignments, including the House Education and Labor Committee. Let's discuss now with one of the Democrats leading that charge, Congresswoman Jahana Hayes of Connecticut. Congresswoman, I appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. This is personal for you. I mean, you represent Newtown, Connecticut, the site of the horrific school shooting that Greene claims was staged. What's your reaction to McCarthy saying that your push to remove Greene from the committees is a part of a partisan power grab?
Well, Don, thanks for having me. And you're right, this is personal on so many levels. But can we just pause for a minute and just think about the fact that Republicans met today for hours, close to 5 hours, all together in one room at the House Capitol. I think it's really illustrative of how they feel about this COVID pandemic. But about Representative Taylor Greene and some of the comments that she made, it is a betrayal to the families in Newtown, to the community, and even to educators who stand every day in front of kids trying to convince them that schools are safe and that the adults are working really hard to make sure that schools are safe. The Committee of Education and Labor deals with things like trauma-informed education practices, school climate issues, and really debate and discuss ways we can make our school campuses safe. To have someone who doesn't even believe that these mass shootings are happening is a non-starter. I think that Representative Taylor Greene has forfeited her right to be on this committee. And 130 of my colleagues have signed on to my letter asking that she not be seated on this committee.
Listen, and I understand that it is personal for you and obviously for the people who are there in Connecticut, but I think also it's personal for the entire country. And in a moment here, I want to tell you, we cover a lot of stories as journalists, and when people ask me, what story affected you the most, and it's always Newtown is the one that affected me the most. And I remember the last live shot I did from there was a funeral and a tiny casket in the back of a hearse. And it is insulting, I think, for me as just an American citizen, for someone who is an elected official to be able to say that it's not real when we witness the grief of moms and dads and grandmothers and sisters and brothers. And, we saw it happening live. We witnessed it. And this person is elected to Congress, and yet your colleagues on the other side cannot take a stand to vote her off the committee that has to do with children. It is mind-boggling.
Absolutely. And I think that's what upset me as much as it did. Her comments have re-traumatized the people in my community. And I don't know what Leader McCarthy is talking about. I have not heard her denounce these comments. I have not seen her walk them back. The last I checked, she said, "I will not apologize." That was her statement or something along those lines. And like you, Newtown was heartbreaking for me, for educators, for so many people in my community. I think the difference is, and why I refuse to wait for Kevin McCarthy to do the right thing, is that Republicans were in the majority in 2012, and we saw them do nothing. We saw them not act. We saw them not react. So if we're waiting for them to do the right thing, it's not going to happen. So I am leading my colleagues to try to not have her seated on especially this committee.
Mm-hmm. But you and your Democratic colleagues could vote to expel Greene from Congress altogether, but you said that you don't want to do that. Why not?
I struggle with this because I respect the fact that the people of Georgia voted for her. But in Congress, we have a responsibility to discipline our own members for their behavior. And some of what my Republican colleagues are saying, this was before she came to Congress. In their eyes, you can't discipline someone before they're in office, after they're in office. It's in her heart. It's there. It's going to come out again. Those words and those statements are going to come out again. And we have to do something about that. I would support, I feel like this is a first step. If it does not work, I would support censoring her or ultimately expelling her. She does not belong in Congress. She doesn't belong on this committee. And we need to do everything in our power to render her neutered, I guess, and not give her a platform for this type of rhetoric. And this isn't just, I also want to add, Don, this isn't just about a difference of opinion. There are lots of Republicans on this committee and other committees who disagree with Democrats on policy and on the way that we should get there. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been dangerous. She has called for direct violence on members of Congress. She has harassed school shooting victims. She has promoted conspiracy theories. That is very different than free speech or even a difference of opinion. And even today, she is fundraising off of her efforts, not denouncing them, not walking them back, but radicalizing and mobilizing her base and raising money off of it. Every Republican, every Democrat should be denouncing that.
Representative Hayes, I appreciate your time. We're all thinking about you and every member of your community. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Good night.
Good night.